Welcome, everybody, to episode 9 of the Big Ben and Friends podcast. I am your host, Big Ben Ortmanns, and this week I am getting to know one of my friends from the pro wrestling business just a little bit better. This man here has become a staple in and was a staple in the Crossbody Pro Wrestling Showcase Series, and took absolutely no time winning over our audience as well as our locker room. He was a participant in the Autobahn to the Gold tournament, which was a very long, grueling tournament where he may have come up short in the tournament, but eventually that his performance in that tournament earned his way onto the Crossbody Pro Wrestling main shows. And he took that opportunity and teamed with Blake 182 to take advantage of a tag team championship open challenge laid out by then champions, as you can see on this man's shoulder here, Empire. They had defeated every team up to that point, and they wanted to have an open challenge to a team that they had never faced. So kudos to you two for taking advantage of that. And that night, not only did they take the ball and score a touchdown with that, they became the champions, as you see, and they did so to a standing ovation from our audience and from our locker room, which is probably the biggest sign of respect that you could show somebody. He's this year's Impact Wrestling Gut Check winner, where he earned himself an Impact Wrestling contract. By the way, congratulations, buddy. He's a guy that you should all be keeping your eye on, and he's a man that I'm very proud to call a friend. Everybody welcome the Suplex Shogun, Jackson Stone. How the hell are you doing, brother?
Well. What's up, man? How you doing, bro? What do we have? I appreciate that.
I'm doing better now, because even when we were just talking before we hit record, I haven't heard you hit that in a while. It just made made me feel better. Even wearing this shirt.
I know. I see the mark, and I love it. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
I got to thank you, because in return, you're also wearing a shirt that we co-designed together, and something that we did as a fundraiser for BlackLivesMatter.ca, where last month we were able to raise $260 that we donated, and we haven't taken that off the website. We're still going to keep those shirts for sale, and we're still going to donate 100% of the proceeds for those shirts, the Madman Fulton shirts, and there's a couple other shirts on there as well that we're going to donate just as long as we can keep that going, because it's a cause that we want to support. So
thank you, man. Also, just want to shout out to you for doing that, because a lot of promotions were kind of skittish on just speaking up about it. So just to have even a shirt that just represents solidarity and understanding of the situation, appreciate it.
Well, I wanted to do something, but obviously I kind of understood that that's certainly not my lane to decide how to go about it, because I really didn't know. That wasn't my call. So I just remember when I was trying to figure out what the right thing to do was, I was just like, I think the right thing to do is just to kind of get all the boys together and ask them, because how the hell am I supposed to know otherwise, And we all had a nice little group chat there for a few days and game planned, and came up with an idea for where we wanted to donate the money. We all kind of came up with a design together, a couple designs, but like we picked one that we decided that we all liked the most. And shout out to Aiden Prince and Michael Lopaz Designs for creating that for us.
Chris, for putting in the work, for doing it, man. Thank you so much for putting in the design work, for real.
Hell yeah.
Blake 182, man. Like I said, always, man. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody who bought it. And just a quick top, just not going on this that long, but the best way to help people, especially to all the people who aren't Black, just talk about it. That's all we can do, is just talk about it and try to gain understanding.
Yeah, just open conversation. Again, I don't want to sidetrack too far either, but I was just scrolling through my Twitter page last night, and I saw Leo Rush just kind of going off last night, and I'm trying to understand, and I obviously didn't do it, but because I just again, I didn't want to be that guy, but part of me really wanted to. I wish that I was in a room with him so I could just pull him aside and just be like, I want to understand what you're talking about. So then that way I can, you know what I mean? But sometimes it just gets, it's hard unless you ask, and that's the thing. And you're never going to know unless you do. And the good thing is that we're in a position now where it's okay to ask, as long as you're respectful about it.
It's not taboo anymore. That's the thing. I think it's like a lot of this situation, because it's such a broad situation now, and I think everybody is affected by it. I think we need to talk about it a lot, especially with us being in the industry where there's so many, Black and brown athletes and people of different cultures, we're integrated in lifestyles and so many different lifestyles we have to talk about. Not just to mention Black and brown, but also, the LGBTQ community as well. They're also heavily within the wrestling community, and they face their own types of inequalities and injustices as well. So it's important that for us just as humans, just to talk about these situations and not try to shy away from it and not try to be so cordial and formal. I feel like a lot of times, especially, I don't know how it is in Canada, but just to speak about in the States, man, in the States, people try to be so cordial and formal because they feel like it won't be, they won't be too confrontational. And it's like, look, man, this is a lifestyle that we're still living. So we need to talk about this. So again, props to you, man. I know we're talking about what's in people's cups. I saw you drinking something. I'm gonna let you know I got my suplex and fuel ready.
I was just about to ask because thank you very much, because that shows that you've been watching some episodes, which I appreciate, buddy. Was just about to ask what you got in your cup because we're filming this on a beautiful Saturday morning, and this will probably be dropping Sunday night, which is hopefully you'll all be watching. But I really enjoy these episodes that I get to film in the morning because I just feel like my motor skills are better when I'm drinking coffee and I haven't worked a complete day and then gone for a run and then completely deprived my body of calories and then trying to have a conversation.
How many miles do you get in usually?
I used to keep track of that as far as how far I was going, but I kind of just stopped because once the summer hit, I just really wanted to focus on time. Because I just wanted to on time and heart rate, because I've got one of these. You ever heard of a Whoop?
No, is that like an iWatch almost like with a?
So basically, this thing is like a Fitbit on steroids. If you've ever watched like a Joe Rogan or like Fighter and the Kid podcast or any of those stuff, like those guys live by this. My brother kind of got me on this. My brother and Dania, and Dania was the first one that told me about this because I don't know if you know her or not, but she used to work for us, but she's a good friend of mine, like an older friend of mine, and that we've known each other for quite a while. And she's a huge into CrossFit. Like that's kind of where her life is at right now. That's why she's really not into wrestling. Like, and she's shredded. And I remember the one day she was telling me about this and that it's a good idea because it tracks like your heart rate. It does about 100 different readings per second. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
Like for example, last night I was just really fatigued. I was just very tired, but I knew I needed to move around and do something. So I've decided that for my active rest, I was just going to start picking up basketball again and then just going to just shoot hoops. Cause right by my place, there's a basketball court that's like literal, like walking distance where if I get too tired, I can just crawl home.
Right.
So went and bought
some nice rolls. 3/4 rolls home, you know what I mean?
Exactly. So I just went and bought a cheap basketball because I didn't know how much I would like it, but I'm going to probably go and invest into a more expensive one this weekend just because now I'm like, oh, this cheap basketball. It's like starting to, like, I can start to feel like it growing like the little boobs just because it's so cheap, you know? But yeah, like even just as of like just doing that, man, it just, I did that for about a half hour last night and I felt so much better after doing it. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I walked in my door, my phone goes off and has a notification. And it's like, it has tracked you playing basketball because it knows what my heart rate is like whenever I've been playing basketball. It's crazy.
That's what's up. That's good though. So you said Fighter and the Kid talks about, because I do like watching their podcasts every now and then, but they're big. Okay, definitely. I'll check them out.
Yeah. It's huge. And I'm glad that my brother kind of got me onto it. And if you do go onto it, let me know. And if it's something that you're going to invest in, because I can give you a code, because everybody gets one, where if you use me as a reference, you get a free month. So those, yeah. So it's pretty cool what they do. They, it's like, it's a help a brother out fee, I guess. It's good stuff.
Hell yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So obviously I've got my coffee. It's very clear you've got your lemonade. I don't know when you don't have your lemonade. So this leads me to the very first question, which you're probably aware of what's coming. And this is where I get to ask you, do you remember how and why we became friends in the first place?
I know why we became friends, wrestling, of course, and just, understanding mindsets. But when we met, it's two different separate situations that play out in my head. First, obviously, was crossbody, first coming up to crossbody. But second, I feel like it was definitely at an Impact show because I believe you looking great, man. You looking great in your suit. You had like a nice, I want to say silver suit. It was like a silver suit. I want to say probably like some kind of blue in there, but you looking fly. And for me, I know I was just helping out with the ring. I was just doing like some ring setups, and they pretty much wherever they needed us, it was like, hey, come here, all right, no problem. Hey, come here, all right, no problem. And I would usually just see you like around, like, you know, pretty much with the writers or like near the production tables and stuff like that. So that's pretty much where I saw you. You have a very very distinct face, and of course, bald head, brother. I relate, so I understand. I'm like, okay, I remember him. And then we talked a little bit, I believe so. And then shook hands probably quickly, you know, whoop-de-whoop, hey, what's up? Crossbody, I distinctly just remember a big smile, big hug, and a big welcoming because it was like a reflective, like the promoter reflects what the promotion is. And from there, I was like, oh, okay. I looked at Blake. I was like, I feel like we're in a good spot. Because I was like, all right, well, if he's willing to greet us like this, you know what I'm saying, with this kind of love, then I think we're pretty good, you know, because again, a lot of promotions, you get that first impression off of them just from walking in. And, you know, a lot of guys that you can tell just on how the operation is, just on how they're running. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Like, there's certain people that if they give me their word and they're just like, hey, you should use these guys, then I don't even question it. And I essentially just kind of welcome them like family, you know, just because as far as I'm concerned, if somebody that I look at as family offers somebody else, that's like extended family, you know? So I remember you guys came down. I remember it was you, I want to say Blake, I'm pretty sure.
Daniel, I think.
Yeah, Danny. I want to say, no, Hagen didn't come down the first time, but there was a carload of you guys that came down the first time. And I just remember I was like, well, for a showcase series show. And I was just like, all right, great. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys could do. And then I just remember you guys got there. It was a quick welcoming and just a quick hello, meet and greet. And then because those are really busy days because the shows like open the doors at 7, shows start at 7:30. And I usually work during the day until about 4:30. Sometimes I get off around 4 if my boss is cool enough and lets me go because he knows that I got a busy day. So sometimes I don't even get into the venue until 5. So I've got like this 2-hour gap where I've got to make sure the production's good. I got to make sure that the show is booked because sometimes I don't even have the show booked until I get there, which is a fun part, by the way. And then there's just a lot to do. So so the conversations kind of get a little bit shorter, but I just remember I was like, I like these guys for some reason, like right away. And then you guys, do you remember what your first match was?
Man, I want to say it was against, it was a tag. It was me and, I think it was me and, not CrossFit, I say CrossFit Jesus, Chinstrap Jesus.
Chinstrap Jesus, yes.
Yeah. Oh, Sasha Kyle Barrett. And then it was him and I think we were against Empire.
Oh, okay.
I say we were against Empire because I distinctly, because I remember throwing Matt at one point. That's all I remember at one point. And then, so I want to say it was that. I forgot how the match ended, but I just remember us having like a lot of fun. Everything just felt smooth. It felt good, and just the crowd just like really, the energy just felt was like the biggest part. You know, like the crossbody. For those who haven't been to crossbody shows, really is like the fans. You can tell their passion's there. So yeah, it felt good just to walk out and just get that love. You know, the instant shit factor. I love that.
And you got it immediately because I just remember as soon as it was like within the first minute or so. Like I remember even just watching you do your entrance, I was just like, there's something's there. and then I watched you work and I was like, holy shit. I'm like, all right. And then I can't even remember what, but it was just like a succession of just like amazing performances from your entire carload. And I was just like, all right, Aiden Prince can recommend anybody to me anytime and I'll use them because this was
Prince,
awesome.
man. That's out to Prince again.
Yeah. You guys fucking killed it. And I mean,
thank you. Thanks for bringing us through.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I mean, you know, what a lot of people don't understand is, especially for those showcase series shows, because for some reason, like I still get questions sometimes where they're like, how do we get on them? And I've made it very clear. It's like, just
Right.
contact me, show
Right.
up, like just one of the two. Like, I'm not going to come to anybody for, especially local. And the funny thing is like, it's probably all your guys' fault. Excellent English there, by the way. But you guys drive down from Michigan every fucking week. And
Yeah.
when you guys are doing that, you guys are literally driving down from another country.
Mhm.
You're doing so like at a rapid pace. You're doing so very respectfully, where like you guys were the ones that are asking to be there. You know what I mean? And it wasn't the other way around, which is, again, how it should be when you are young in the business. Because like, it doesn't matter how far along we get in this business, nobody owes you anything,
Nobody. Yeah.
um
And think about that is too, man. Like we like the adventures of just crossing the border. I mean, we've sent you pictures when we're like, hey, we're stuck here. Hey, we're stuck. We got pulled in. So there's been a couple times, kind of came with a risk almost, if you will, because of how they react to us. Because, me, myself, I have my card, my marijuana card. And then sometimes some people just won't have ID. So
mhm.
we're not going to say names, but he knows. But we've gotten through, just sometimes just off of whims. But it was a grateful experience, because for me personally, I've always wanted to wrestle in Canada, man. My initial training starting in Ohio, and started in Cleveland. I always heard about, all the big wrestlers from Canada. Of course, you heard a lot about like Tyson Dukes. Always heard about him. You always heard about, Nate Masson driving up there. You always heard about like just Josh Sampson doing his thing. Always heard about Alpha, and Ethan Page, because I saw him over at AIW all the time. Heard about Josh Alexander, all these guys. So for me, Destiny and all that. So for me, it was like, all right, Canada's definitely on the list of places to go, especially being a Detroiter. Oh, no problem. I'm gonna make that happen eventually. So, to actually make that happen in the way that it did, with being in Toronto or Kitchener, with it being crossbody, it means a lot, and because I feel like that's just one of those, because I performed in Canada at other places before. Was Mississauga at Eclipse and whatnot, and like just places here and there sporadically, but to have an actual stable place where we're getting love and people can actually kind of say that this is our, if home country promotion, this would be our home country promotion.
Yeah. And it's weird because, I think that's, I feel like we always sound a little ridiculous when we say, like our locker room is a family, and we, we're tight, but it's true. Like we've got a really core group of
Oh yeah.
individuals in there where like everybody wants everybody to get better. And the good thing is that I think that the more successful companies that you see, like that's kind of become the secret recipe for successful wrestling companies. Like when you've got a crew that's like tight the way that they are, that all are like-minded people but different in the same way, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because you need to have that those differences of opinion. But as long as everybody's willing to listen and grow together and make art together and do so in a professional way where everybody's still friendly, like those are the shows that become successful, and they're the most fun to watch. Like AEW and Impact are easily the two most fun shows to watch on TV right now, because those locker rooms are clearly having fun,
Yeah.
and putting on a really good product and telling good stories, and shooting the product well, is shooting the product very well, which is makes a huge difference, right?
Yeah, and I think the big thing too, especially with when you talk about with like the level on the indies, because you have those stable promotions that are major and people want to get to. But I feel like the big thing that should keep those promotions open or running strong is like what you said, having that open mindset. It's not just having like that set crew, it's understanding that, hey, there may be other people that are coming through that may be willing to answer a call of opportunity. And, we're willing to offer a chance sometimes, because I'm not gonna lie, just from my experience, again, I've only been in for 4 or 5 years, so I've experienced just like bare stuff. So for me, I've seen cliques or, cliques take over promotions, and you try to go to that promotion and they'll kick you out because you're not part of that clique or part of that particular area or whatever. And, it's kind of, I would say, almost handicapping the wrestler, it feels sometimes. So, to come to a promotion where people understand that, yeah, we're a team, we're competitive with each other, we love each other, but also we're willing to accept newcomers. That's the big thing, man. Because you want to have a little bit of a revolve. I feel like wrestling is meant for growth. And yeah, you have some people who are going to stay where they want to stay and be where they want to be. But I feel like if you're not trying to get from one tier to another tier, then I feel like coasting is just something that's just, you're going to wind up just wasting your time, I feel like.
Yeah.
If you admit that to yourself,
Oh, 100%. So. And, the funny thing is, excuse me, is you hit the nail right on the head, because the way that our locker room is kind of structured and the way that I've always wanted it to be was based off something that Ethan Page actually said to me a long time ago, because I did 1 or 2 shows for him, like way back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember how we got into it, but I just remember him telling me that he's like, why it's fun being a promoter is because you can just surround yourself with people that you like. You don't always have to pick the best wrestler. You can just surround yourself with your buddies. And I was just like, at the time it made me mad, because I'm like, well, I'm not like buddies with a lot of people. So like, that sucks for me. And here I am just trying to work really hard, but it's funny, as a promoter, I completely understood. And it was one of the things that kind of kept me going. I was like, oh, wait a sec. I get it. Like, I don't have to use these top wrestlers in the area to make my card special, because if I don't like them, then I don't have to use them. You know what I mean? Like, here's the beauty part is, if we need a top guy, I know a whole lot of good people, good people, like not just talented wrestlers, but like fantastic human beings that all want that spot and are all willing to go and work their asses off. And it's like, let's do that. Let's do that instead, because that's really the prerequisite as far as like kind of getting over with our locker room anyway. It's like, show up, be respectful, pay your dues, and just want to be there. You know what I mean? Like, and don't be a shit person. That's pretty much it. Like, I mean, as long as you're cool and you want to learn and you want to work hard, man, that's what I would like to say that's kind of what our locker room is all about. And thankfully, you guys have become a huge part of that. So,
oh man, cheers to you for that. Thank you, bro. For real, much love for that, man.
Thank you, man.
It's just it's
sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying, it just feels like a weird journey, like talking about the whole thing, just the whole wrestling journey, man. It's long, but it's really rewarding, especially when you have like the right people around you to help you grow. You know what I mean? So
that's the thing, man. Is like, you need the right people around you, just because I very, very strongly believe in that you become the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
So like, if you surround yourself with hardworking, like-minded people, like, you just have no other option to just grow with them, because you don't get the choice. Otherwise those people are going to be like, get the fuck away from me because you're holding me back.
Yeah, man.
It's almost like you have to, it's like you pay for the friendship and hard work in a weird way. And like, that becomes the currency, which is kind of funny, but like, I learned that in a mixed martial arts gym where, if you want to get together with these guys, like, they're happy to show you what they know. But you have to pay them in a lot of fucking sweat, and
yeah, exactly. I was just about to say that too, like compare with MMA. That's exactly how it is.
Yeah. So real quick, I just want to ask you, just because, like, I mean, you said that you've been at this for about 4 or 5 years. So, what was it that made you like actually follow through with wanting to chase your dream? Just because obviously, it's one thing to say it, it's another to actually follow through and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I kind of just want to know, like, what made you actually do it, and what was the biggest obstacle for you to get through once you started your initial training?
Yeah. Well, honestly, it's kind of I'm not gonna say so similar to how Fulton's were, because he was like in college and and people kind of pushed him towards that in a weird way because he was training. He said he became like, you know, collegiate. He was collegiate wrestler, and then later on kind of fell into like wrestling kind of like happened to him. And I guess in a way that kind of happened to me. Like professional wrestling is kind of, I was always a fan of it. I was always seeing it. I was always like in tune with it. But I want to say like around high school, I kind of like just left off from 05 to 09. Just kind of like just stopped watching for whatever reason. Just stopped watching. I would see some WWE matches, some Impact matches here and there, TNA back then. Just wouldn't really be into it. College came in though, and then they started dropping all these documentaries started to come out. Like all these badass documentaries, like the Ric Flair documentary came out. I saw like they had the AWA like 4-part documentary. They Stone Cold Steve Austin had his documentary. CM Punk, of course, had his documentary. And you just saw like a lot of these guys have like kind of like the same lives or lifestyles or mindsets that you have, and you're like, well, shit. You know, I mean, I definitely believe in myself. I definitely see what I can do. I can see myself in this type of realm. You know, maybe one day we'll see what happens. I graduated, and when I graduated, I was already wrestling because I wrestled for a couple years in college and I played football for a couple years. And I was like, well, you know, that's done. That's a job, because like when I was done with football and when I was done with wrestling, it became a job to me.
What did you play in football?
Hmm?
What position did you play in football?
I played defensive end and defensive tackle, mainly defensive tackle. So like a lot of like 3 gap, a lot of 1 gaps, a lot of, you know, busting up quarterbacks. Yeah. So.
This explains a lot of your explosiveness to me, as a matter of fact.
Does it?
oh God, yeah. Just because like I know, especially for that position, like what explosiveness you need. But I also understand that in America, it's not the same game as it is here in Canada. Like that shit's hockey for you guys, like it is down here, you know, like that's you guys take that very, very seriously. So if that's something that you were playing like later in life, like holy Christ, I can only imagine what kind of workouts and just what kind of drilling you guys were doing for that. So that I makes a whole lot of sense.
And I was like, and I went to a lot of like, if you go down south in the States, man, the States, like for football in the States, man, it's just, I don't know where like the epicenter of hockey is for Canada, but if you go down south, that's like the epicenter for football. So, you know, I train a lot like down there, and you go down there, it's like different athletes, man. Like I'm talking about guys like Warren Sapp at younger ages, and like, you know, like, you know,
bro, I took the Notorious TID to a CFL game one time. And we went to watch a Ticats game versus whoever the fuck. It doesn't even matter. And I just remember, because you got to remember, like Tids shoot from he's from Las Vegas. Like he grew up in Las Vegas. That is not a gimmick. And I just remember him like sitting there the entire time. He's just like, he's like, fucking high school football and better than this shit where I'm from. And there's more people in the stands. He's like, this is horse shit.
You see it now, dude. I can see him now. Like, because like, yeah, man. Like it gets a little. But I'm pretty sure that's how you guys feel when you come down to the States or you watch certain hockey games.
Yeah.
You know, we have a couple Canadian players, I believe, on the wings. But for the most part, I mean, I'm sure that
you put some respect on Stevie Eiserman's name right now.
That's what I'm saying, man. Hey, look, I love the cap. I love the cap. I got my cap jersey in the closet.
Goddamn right. All right.
But
just get that out of the way.
Hey, but I know that for a fact that like Canadians like see some hockey players and be like, hey, you know what? All right. Well, we'll take what you guys are doing as hockey. But you know, but yeah, man, it's from there, after I graduated from college, like my dad, he was like, yeah, so you can do whatever you want now. And so pretty much from there, I was like, well, I want to either do, because for me, it was either continue on with my jiu-jitsu and go on with that. Because my dad was my sensei pretty much all the way from, I want to say, from the time I was 6 or 7 when I started judoka to the time I was done when I was like 17 or 18.
What ranking did you ever get to in jiu-jitsu?
Ranking, I'm still at like a 3-stripe white. Like I haven't had chance to get into a tournament. But for judoka, I'm at brown.
Okay, Everything is making so much more sense to me now. I'm so glad we're doing this because I didn't know this about you. This is a fucking okay. Keep going, man. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much about you, bro.
Yeah, but no problem, man. Like, yeah, my father, started training me when I was like, because he used to actually go up to Canada a bunch of times when he was like my age and just tour around like Toronto, and he would talk about like, he would go to Alberta sometimes for different like judoka tournaments because he was from New York, so they would just go all the way around like New York and then Canada, just have these tournaments.
Just
And
whooping
he
on
had
some
like
Canadian motherfuckers.
yeah, man. He was like, it'd be like a bunch of just big ass burly people just like in this massive mecca, like crazy gym, just throwing people around. He says, it's not like how it is now. Like how it is now, it seems like a lot more structured. But back then, it was way more like you just heard a lot more smacks for some reason, like on the mat. But yeah, he kind of trained me his own way, like kind of his own old school way, and that kind of transpired to what you see now with the Shogun. And but yeah, man, that and pretty much I went to high school wrestling, collegiate wrestling, and then professional wrestling when I started just like looking up schools. And I was gonna go to House of Truth, but I couldn't afford it. I didn't have money, so I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna start Facebooking. Thank God we had like social media, you know, so like no phone, you know. So I was like just looking up like different schools. I remember I found Mega Championship Wrestling, MEGA, and the trainer there, Brandon Xavier, he was actually about to leave, but then he ended up getting talked into to train one more class. And I was like, I was his classmate. It was like just he laid such a great foundation. Like him and my other trainer, Graham Wellington, James West. He's from the West Coast. They both gave me, I feel like, such a great structure understanding of what professional wrestling is. Because I always had like the understanding of respect and understanding of like, you know, people are gonna critique you. People are gonna come to you and give you these criticisms, and you have to take that. Like I get that, you know, from training in football and wrestling, that just comes with the whole situation of being an athlete, is taking that criticism. So I understood that factor, but the mobility factor, like understanding like how to put together matches, they just really helped me out a lot in that. And so I trained there for probably about a year and a half. And now I had my first match was my first year. It was April. It was in April. My first match was against Ben Boone. And
get out of here.
Yeah,
so I have to ask this before we get into that match. Like, was your wrestling training hard? Just because what I'm finding out about you is that you've essentially done every combat sport in the world, with the exception of perhaps maybe boxing and professional stabbing. What?
I did boxing when I was 11 to 13.
Well, fuck. Okay, so then professional stabbing is what I've got you down to. That is the only thing. I'm assuming no, right?
No.
Okay, so you've done the reason why I'm tripping out about this is because I don't think a lot of people fully understand, because between boxing, between jiu-jitsu, between becoming a judoka, between football, amateur wrestling, Christ, what else did I miss? Did I miss anything?
I played rugby like from high school to college, like my freshman year of college, but I played it from sophomore year to college, and that was a lot of fun, man. That was my favorite sport.
Okay, so what people need to understand is the amount of skill, the amount of different footwork, the different types of just the ways that you have to use your body for those 6 different types of combat sports, and then all of a sudden transition into pro wrestling, doing so the complete other way, where like I did a lot of combat sports growing up, like where I played football, like pretty much I've been in combat sports for the majority of my life, you know what I mean? But once I transitioned from like football to pro wrestling, it was, I still didn't pick it up fully, but then once I kind of took some time off of pro wrestling and then did my kickboxing and like a little bit of grappling and whatnot with, again, like a room full of human beings that can just beat on your ass like at any point in time that they want. When I came back to pro wrestling, everything was easier for me, just because the transition, like the footwork, the understanding what punches and like just different things feel like. It was just like knowing what being in a real fight feels like. It just helps you understand the process of being able to put together
Okay.
a entertainment version of one. So
Now, Ben, what's your base like MMA? Like, what's your like? Because my base would be freestyle Greco-Roman wrestling. What would your be like your base?
I would say kickboxing for sure.
I was like some long like legs like to throw them up. Man. I feel like you can like launch somebody's head off their shoulders with that.
Well, kickboxing's the only thing in that realm that I actually competed in. I had 2 fights. I went 1-1 as a kickboxer, just doing like the most amateur of amateur fights.
Right.
The first one, I was supposed to fight a guy, and I was so nervous, man. But I was supposed to fight a guy who had no fights as well. We agreed to kind of meet at like a specific weight, like, and it was kind of weird that we were even doing that because that stuff really shouldn't matter on these cards. You just go in there
Right.
and fight. And
Okay.
but the guy didn't show up. So then next thing I know, my coach was asking me, he's like, "Hey, we've got this other guy that can step in and fight you." And I'm like, and for some reason I was just really nervous. I'm like, "Well, what's his record?" Or like,
Right.
has he ever fought anybody before? Cause like I was scared shitless. Right.
I know.
And then I just watched my coach go, he's 1-1. And I just looked at him. I'm like, "You're fucking lying to me." And he's just like, "Do you want it or not?" I was like, "You're my coach. Do I do it?" He's like, "Do it." I'm like, "Okay, I'm doing it." So then I ended up losing a decision, but like I learned so much. And like this guy, he kind of beat my ass a little bit, but I got up on him I know I got up on him like real good one time during the 3 rounds, but like there was a couple times where like he would come in for like you could just tell he was setting something up. And then like I would just pick his entire combination apart with just like a jab or like just like a leg kick or something. And so he won that fight. But then my second fight, I was just in the fucking zone and just beat this man's ass for like 3 rounds. It was
like, do you think the nerves just left after the first fight? So you're like, okay, I know how this feels now, or do you think you had more time to prep?
So my second fight was like this really weird story. So like my fight was in June, and in December, the December before that, I slipped on a sidewalk during the winter time and slipped a disc in my lower back, and was told that I wouldn't walk again properly for at least a year. And so the good thing is where we have access to some pretty amazing medical staff at our gym in London. So my chiropractor, who I want to give shout outs to, but his new office just opened up, and he told me not to give him shout outs until he gets business going and stuff like that, because he just wants to make sure that if anybody goes his way, that he's prepared for it. You know what I mean? Because they're just reopening and stuff like that. Right. But he's a miracle worker, and he also knew that I was like broke, which is weird because I actually just messaged him last night because I feel like I always just messaged him to be like, "Hey man, I'm fucked up. Can you fix me?" And last night I just had this weird moment where I'm like, I'm just going to message him and just be like, "Hey man, just wanted to just a weird appreciation message just to let you know that I appreciate you and that I love you. And I can't thank you enough for always being there for me." And he messaged me back and he's just like, "I don't do that unless I know for a fact you're good people and that you're worth my time." Because I didn't have a job at that time and I didn't have benefits. Like this dude worked on me twice a day, like legitimately twice a day for months, and would do so out of the kindness of his heart because he just wanted to see me back and going. And he knew that I was prepared to do the work to do it. So again, it all boils down to what we said before, where that's kind of the group that I ran in and that I was kind of raised up in, where it's just like, you're with some of the best people in the world, and you may not have the money to train the way that they do, but you can crack that seal and get in with them as long as you pay them with hard work. And it's kind of just been a theme of that I like to try to pass along as well. But sorry, going into that. But so I trained my ass off and I wanted to fight in June, and we got to that point. But then the problem is that I was training so hard that I overtrained, and I want to say it was about 8 or 9 days before the fight. I was doing some pad work with Chris Hordeski, and we were just doing some work in the ring. And I just remember my body, it's like the lights just went boom.
Oh.
And I was just like, oh no, what is going on? And then I proceeded to throw up for an hour straight, like an hour.
I vomit, or like it was dry, like hurling, or was actual food coming out?
Just
Like everything.
like everything, water, like it was gross. And like, it fucked me. Like, I was messed up. Like I couldn't move. I couldn't walk for days after that. And then we're
overtraining.
Yeah.
Oh.
Overtraining, definitely burning more calories than I was intaking.
Got you. Okay.
And then I think it all just kind of caught up to me for sure. Because remember, I wasn't even supposed to walk again properly until the end of the year. And here I was about to take a kickboxing fight in June. So there was a lot of work that went into that. And
the mindset to push through that though is major. Like just the mindset to be able to get up and keep pushing through that. That's what's up. Like that speaks a lot of volumes, honestly, to you as a person, to be able to indulge and get that happen to your disc, have your disc slip, go through that rehab, and then continue on with training. Even if your body went to a shutdown mode, you still endured all that. And I think that's a homage to I feel like the fighter's mindset in terms of durability.
Well, again, it all boils down to who you surround yourself with too, right? And at the time, not only was I at a gym with these savages, but like my roommate and one of my best buddies, his name is Jesse Gross. He's literally the hardest working human being I've ever met in my life. So, so being lazy around him was a much harder thing to do than it was to just be lazy in general,
right.
So, I'm about 3 or 4 days before the fight's supposed to happen, and my body still hasn't recovered. And like my one doctor's been trying to he was trying to feed me with IVs and trying to get my body's levels back to normal. And I'm just like, I feel like I just lost all of my work because now I've taken this time off. I don't feel right. So I went to my coaches and like the guys, and I was just like, guys, I'm pulling out. And I just hear like a collective, like, oh man, really? And you could just see everybody get so disappointed when I said that, because they saw how hard I worked for it. And for the first time ever, like Sam Stout, do you know who Sam Stout is?
He sounds really familiar. Yeah.
UFC fighter. He's one of the coaches and owners of the Adrenaline Training Center where I was at. He literally he just grabbed me and he just took me into the locker room. Where it was just the two of us, and he sat me down, and I'm not going to say like what he said to me, but like he gave me the biggest heart-to-heart conversation that I've ever had in my life, where I was just like, whoa, this isn't a guy that does this like for anybody. And like because Sam was still in the UFC at the time. Like he was the cat's meow, because like, man, everybody wanted a piece of him. So like you could just tell he was very guarded with who he kind of let into his life, and very rightfully so, because everybody just wanted something from him, And I was never like that. I just wanted his friendship and his knowledge, and to be able to provide friendship and a tackling dummy in return. But if it wasn't for Sam talking to me into it, I would have never gone through with it. So immediately I called my best buddies that were my training partners, and I was like, hey, get down here right now. I need to go. I need to have a hard workout like right now. I need pad work. I need some sparring. Like I need you guys to come and beat me the fuck up for like an hour or two, because I need to see if I can handle this. And then they were also fighting on that card. So they came down right away, like within 20 minutes they were there. And and that's a team, man. And as a matter of fact, I've got a teammate that's fighting in Abu Dhabi tonight on the UFC card, who we may not be the best of friends by like any stretch of the imagination. He was very much like we always just kind of never saw eye to eye, but it's one of those things where it doesn't matter. We're a part of a family, and we can beat up on each other, but like if anybody else wants to try to beat up on my guy, it's just like, no, he's right. That's we can have family beef all we want, but like, fuck you. That's my family. Right. So, So pay attention. Malcolm Gordon, he's going to be fighting, I think, third or fourth on the card tonight. He's 135 pounds. Sam is actually in his corner tonight, and I've been watching all of their journey on Sam's Instagram Live, which has just been a blast.
Shouts out to Malcolm and Sam, man.
Yeah.
Good luck out there.
Yeah, it's kind of a Team Tompkins night, man, and because that's kind of where that's where our lineage is from the late great Sean Tompkins, and Sean Tompkins actually used to coach Joseph Benavidez as well. So there's a bit of a Team Tompkins night tonight, and then a week from tonight, one of our other teammates, Jesse Ronson, is also fighting in Abu Dhabi on Fight Island. So there's some cool shit happening for our crew down in London right now, and I'm just really happy and I'm really proud for them. And regardless of how it ends up, and I don't mean to say this preemptively if anything bad happens, but like Malcolm took this fight on, I believe, 2 weeks' notice, and traditionally those short fight notice fights, along with your first time fighting in the UFC, typically don't go well for a lot of people. But I know that Malcolm's got the right people in his corner, and regardless of what happens, like, I'm just very, very proud of him, because it takes a lot to get there. And it was actually cool. I saw Malcolm not too long ago at another MMA card in Toronto, and it was cool. We actually like hugged, and it was just like good to see each other, because like we had both been kind of, we haven't seen each other for a while, and we've both done such different things in our respective paths, and we could both kind of see that like mutual respect there. So it was really cool. I wish him well tonight, but sorry for the longer rant. But
yeah, luck to, like, going out to Fight Island like that, for real. Good, seriously, good luck to you guys, man. Seriously, like, it's crazy thing. Like, the UFC is like kind of Mortal Kombat-y right now, and then the way it's presented, because like Fight Island, I love it. Like, it's so interesting. Just good luck to you guys, man. Seriously, shouts out to Mr. Stout. Definitely.
Yeah, good. I want the best for those guys, man, and I'm again very, very happy. I want Joseph Benavidez to win so bad. I've never met Joseph Benavidez. He was Sean's Vegas guy, but I know how much that would mean to Sean, and that would be awesome to see. So I'm going to transition back here into some wrestling questions, just because that was very fascinating, I got to say, just because I don't even know if we even answered the original question, but goddamn, I didn't. Exactly. Who knows? But it's just really cool knowing that you, I guess the original question was, all of these combat sports that you've done made your transition into wrestling, I'm assuming, pretty simple, huh?
Well, for real, we've always, like, even like back when I was a kid, we always like played wrestling. I guess I was a Stone Cold, my cousin was The Rock, so like we kind of imitate the moves. So it just kind of like, just kind of feel like everything just kind of just melded together. And to be honest with you, if anything, the biggest sport that played the biggest like help to it was honestly rugby. Just because like how much mentality you have to you have to use in order just to keep going, because like that, the rugby game, people don't understand that. Like, rugby game is it's constant, man, and you're always getting beat on from every type, like from every single position, even when you're in rucks and all that stuff. So it teaches you just like that mental endurance. And wrestling definitely teaches that mental endurance, but I feel like rugby just took to a whole nother level after the fact for me. So, and also the footwork too, but whereas wrestling for me, I feel like it helped out a lot with my strength and a lot of my core strength, and a lot of like just like my durability for sure. But yeah, man, that transition was smooth. It was pretty smooth.
That's sweet, man. Now, one thing I do want to ask, and it's not something that we have to dive or dig too deep into, I guess, but I do want to ask, just because, again, you worked your ass off, man, and you got to take part in the Impact Wrestling Gut Check series, and not only did you take part in that series, but you won that motherfucker and won yourself a contract with Impact Wrestling. Now, it happened to kind of be at the worst time, just because as soon as you won, we pretty much had the pandemic. I want to say it was 2 or 3 weeks later, because if I remember correctly, you won the tag titles and the contract the same weekend. Is that right?
The tag titles were like a week after, 2 weeks after, I think. Yeah, because I won the contract. It was we went to Atlanta, and then I came back, and then we were like, I want to say probably like a week or 2 weeks after that.
Okay. I
Yeah.
just remember it was very close together. So, um, I guess what my question is that before all this happened,
I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. It was a tag house first. It was tag house first, actually, and then was the contract. I'm so sorry.
yeah, no, don't be sorry. Yeah, because I just remember that it was right around that time where the pandemic happened. I want to say it was 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
But did they, after you won, was there any plans for you, like at the time, for you to debut on TV at all, or that you know of?
Not that I know of,
No,
honestly.
no, that's
Not,
cool.
but I mean, for me, I was hoping to make it happen like during WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
So I was looking forward to like really capitalizing on like whatever momentum I could for the WrestleMania weekend.
Well, hey, you know what? There's still a lot of time, and the good thing is that until they do give you that opportunity, in a weird way, what it does is it provides you another opportunity, and it provides you another opportunity to get into the best shape of your life, which is what you've been doing, which beautifully transitioned into my next question, because one of the things that I like talking about with everybody as much as I can is I like to kind of talk about what you've been doing for your training. So, what have you been doing during the quarantine for those who haven't been paying attention to your social media? What have you been doing for your training, and what has it been? Has it been any different from what you would typically do, I guess, if we weren't in the pandemic?
Not really, to be honest with you. Like, I'm fortunate to have kettlebells at my place. So, like, kettlebells is my choice of workout equipment for sure. Especially also to mix it up with the bike, like you mentioned. Your friend, she's really into CrossFit, and
Mhm.
I try to blend I try to blend some CrossFit with a little bit of movement, with a little bit of powerlifting. Like if you listen to like Joe Rogan's podcast when he talks about On It, I really like how On It like approaches working out when they use mobility, but they also work on like muscular, like cardiovascular. Like they want to make sure like later on in the match your muscles are still still have that cardio to like lift somebody up for a suplex or to catch somebody if they want to jump outside and you gotta like catch them on a tope. That type of thing really helps out a lot, and I've been doing that. I want to say my first time really getting into CrossFit like that, like the swinging kettlebells and all that stuff, man, was probably like I want to say my first year of actual professional wrestling training. And what motivated me to do that was actually just seeing Joe Rogan just mess with the clubs one time. I saw him like mess with the clubs,
Yeah.
and he made this quote. He was like, "You want to be strong in every position possible." I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty true. Like you want to be able to be strong in every single situation." And I just took that with it.
That's awesome, man. So, other than like your training and stuff like that, so like you use your kettlebells.
Mhm.
Is there anything that you do cardiovascular wise, or is that essentially the cardio that you do? Because obviously, kettlebells isn't just a strength thing. I would definitely classify that as strength and conditioning.
Yeah,
Because there's different types of workouts. There's your cardio. You could just do conditioning, you can do strength and conditioning, you can do
right,
powerlifting, like there's like there's a bunch of different
right.
stuff. What would you classify everything that you do as, I suppose?
I don't want to say. I mean, don't want to use the word hybrid, but I mean, all around, I would say, shit, probably more so of I would say the CrossFit. If you want to, we'll put that in there because I go for more. I do go for time. I do go for like a time thing. Like I'd be like, all right, well, I got a minute to bust all. I got a minute to bust out as many reps as I can this out. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I love deadlifting. Like I love powerlifting a lot. So it's honestly, man, a good. I try to say a good blend of CrossFit training with a little emphasis of powerlifting. And when I say powerlifting, I'm just gonna put in hyphens like cleans and deadlifts. Really, that's my main thing when it comes down to powerlifting because man, like deadlifts. After I started really doing those, my like suplexing man just got so much more explosive. Like that's when I actually started doing the pounce more. Is when I started doing more deadlifts. And I started noticing like how much it really played into that.
Yeah.
So I love messing with the Bulgarian bags. I love messing with the Bulgarian bags. My favorite thing. We have
Mhm.
a throw dummy. I work with the throw dummy a lot. Whether it be judoka throws, lateral drops, whatever I can. Yeah, honestly, we got some tires, flipping tires, wherever I can, man.
I love that style of training because not a lot of people fully understand it, but what I like to classify that as like if anybody ever asks you this question again, and they're just like, how would you classify your training and whatnot?
Yeah.
You know what you tell them? I'm not built for show. I'm built to go.
Yeah, I like that. I'm built for show. I'm built to go. I fucks with that. Shogun fucks with that.
Everything that you just said is for what is conditioning for exactly what you, not only what you do in the ring, but exactly how you approach your matches. You know what I mean? So why would you be training to do anything else other than what it is that you're attempting to make a living at?
That's really it. Like, I want to be able to, if I'm, if my thing is just throwing people around, damn it, I want to be able to find that one punching bag and throw that around as much as possible and learn how to get like the motion on that perfectly. You know, pressing people up, I want to be able to learn how to get effective presses, and not just like on the dump, like on the actual bench, but sometimes I do on the floor, and I'll do a sit up with it, you know, to really try to get some extra explosiveness out of it. Yeah, I like to build for like not to show, but to go. You said.
No, I'm not built to show. I'm built to go.
I like that, and you know, like. It's a bit of like I guess I try to bring my mind back to a gladiatorial or like some kind of like ancient training time, because I know like back in the, of course, we was to use ancient warrior times. Mm-hmm. A lot of them used, you know, rocks, boulders, you know, or each other to lift things up. And for me, I'm just trying to find anything that will cause me to shift my movement, but to strengthen that movement in that sense. Like, I'll work with the kettlebells, I'll do half squats. I love that because it's really work on my balance. You know, mm-hmm. For one side, I'll switch it off and I'll do squats into presses, and that will really help out with, you know, just catching people, switching over to vertical, and then popping them up. You know, like that whole thing. So it's just every little thing I try to play into it.
Dude, that's awesome. So to tie into your training, so what's a typical diet like for you? Like, what are you eating to fuel this fucking tank of a body?
Honestly, man, like a lot of beans lately. I've been reverting to a lot of like black beans, a lot of red beans. I love turkey, so I've been eating a little bit of turkey with it. I've been cutting that off, but I've been just sticking with like mainly beans, corn, and a little bit of turkey. But I have a juicer, and I've just been juicing like a shit ton the last 2 months too. Like, so the morning will be, I'll do my fasted cardio, and I will drink I'll make my juice or drink the juice I had from like the day before. Then later on, get the workout in. Then I'll have like beans with my turkey, and just throughout the day, I'll lighten that up throughout the day until I get to like probably 9 o'clock. And I just been fasting ever since then, like from 9 o'clock to like 11 a.m. or like, you know, 10 a.m. when I, you know, get up and start going about my workouts.
That's awesome. Like, I've actually, my buddy Martin has talked to me a lot about intermittent fasting, and it's something that it's funny because I kind of like half-assed try it, but like don't really stick to it. It's just kind of something like, but it's weird how much I've noticed that I don't eat a lot throughout the course of the day, but then when I eat, I genuinely try to smash as much in that eating time as possible. So then that way I can. So in a weird way, I guess I'm trying to do it, but, and I do find that my body actually, it works a lot better, with that kind of fueling system. And, you know, maybe one of these days that I should probably sit down and actually attempt to do it properly, but well, you know, that's cool to hear that it's working for you.
There's this app called that I located. I think it's called Fastico. I don't know. I'll send it to you, but it tracks your intermittent fasting. So like, weeks in, basically it'll start you at a certain time, and it'll be like, all right, well, you got 10 or 12 hours until your meals, like you can start having meals and stuff like that, and it'll reward you, and it'll also give you like tracks on your water intake and all that stuff. And I really enjoy it. But another thing also I've been doing is making things in bulk. Been making a lot, yeah, man, just like tuna. Been making like a lot of tuna, like in bulk. Have like whenever I do make chicken, like I work with a nonprofit, and we pass out food. And whenever we have like extra food left over from our food distributions, I take that usually back, and it's usually like these huge cans of like chicken, like canned chicken. So I'll just dump all that out, and I'll just make like barbecue chicken with that, and have that throughout the week too. So, just different things. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
if you got, by the way, let Shogun know.
Sorry, say that one more time. You just broke up.
If you got any lifting tips, man, let Shogun know. Any fighting tips, let Shogun know. I need to know.
Oh, brother, I was actually just about to say, like, when everything clears up and we're able to get back to work, like, I really want to have you guys come down for like, and obviously you will, but like the first weekend where we have like a big show back would obviously be a showcase series before that. But I would love for you guys to come down, stay the night, and then like get in there early Saturday. And because there's as you were explaining like your lifting, I'm like, man, I feel like there's a tip or two that I could probably show you that's even just going to increase like the explosiveness in your hips. And there's some other cool striking tips that I feel like I could probably show you as well, just because based off of just what you've told me, I'm like, oh man, you sound like you'd be a lot of fun to work out together with.
Definitely. I would love to.
Yeah. And plus I love learning like judoka stuff. Like I love learning throws. Like there's a lot of stuff that I would love to kind of pick your brain about as well. So it'd be dude, can't wait. I'm looking forward to that, man. So we're gonna start getting into a bit of the rapid fire questions here, there, Shogun. So I'm gonna ask you just again, like these are, you don't have to go into a huge explanation for the answers. You can if you'd like, but just remember that there's no right or wrong answer. Just kind of give the first answer that's on the top of your head. You've watched the show before. You've probably know the questions, so you might even be prepared for some of these bad boys. So. So we're going to start. What's the favorite match you've been a part of?
It's going to be Jamal King, me versus Jamal King. It's actually 2-parter. Crossbody and chainsaw the night prior to.
Cool. Who is not on TV right now who should be on TV, not including yourself?
Well, actually, I just mentioned him, Jamal King. Blake, 182 for sure. Also, Holden Albright, definitely. Holden Albright, I know, and I'm not just saying that because he's the guy for crossbody, but him and I, just a quick thing about him and I, we went out to AIW, Cleveland, and shouts out to everybody at AIW. And they had
this is one of my favorite stories, by the way.
Oh, he told you? Yeah. And
you told me too. You actually, the funny thing is you both messaged me, but we'll get into that. But because I want you to tell the story, because this is I can't tell you, like my heart exploded with like happiness with this story. So please tell it.
Definitely. Yeah. They had a tryout. Basically, like that tryout was to get onto the show later on that day and to just gain better working relationships with them later on. We had the trial. It was basically just consists of like just movements and drills and all that stuff. We had promos and all that stuff. Later on, they're like, all right, well, Shogun, you're gonna match up. We're gonna match you guys up with Holden Albright. Give everybody matches and whatnot. They're like, well, give you guys 5 to 8. That's good. All right, cool. 5 to 8, no problem.
I also want to preface this by saying that you guys both didn't know you were either going to be there as well.
Bro, we had no idea. I want to let everybody know we had no absolute idea that he was like. I was like, he didn't know I was gonna be there. I didn't know he was gonna be there. I was like, you motherfucker. He was like,
and
really?
Shogun had just kind of gotten into like with us at Crossbody, so like it was very cool and just amazing that they didn't know that they were both going to be there for this amazing opportunity, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, they get paired together randomly, not knowing that they already got like this like synergy. Had you worked previously before that?
Yeah, we were at Crossbody for that title too. Actually, that was one of my other favorite matches there. And the funny thing is too, I got in on because he was already in the seminar, but I got in on the seminar like a day before, 2 days before, because somebody had dropped out, so I wasn't actually gonna be in there. But they paired us together. We didn't know. Yeah, no problem. What's up? 5 to 8 minutes. Bet. Ooh, we can do that. And so we look at each other. We was like, we know what we're gonna do. Let's get it. So we put it together. No problem. We have our match. Instantly, man, people are just like going crazy because I hit him with a suplex. He hits me with a dive. He hits me with his spinning back fist on me. It's like people are like, oh shit. I catch him with a pounce. People are like, holy shit. They love it so much. They love the match so much that they want us to run it back later on that night. And we were the opener. We were like the beginning of the show. So, and when I came out, it was so rewarding because AIW itself I feel like was eluding me for a while was like every time I tried to get on, either I had something going on, I was already booked. So for me to be able to get on that show and not just get on that show, but to showcase why I should be on that show through the tryout with Albright, who I feel is a treasure. That guy's is I can't wait for the people in the States to know about him just as much as they know about him. You know, it's like this, and I love it too because he was like, because after the match he was like, "Motherfucker, I didn't know." He's like, "You're like me here, like you're like me in Canada, but here." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You've been putting in work." I'm like, "Yeah." Like it's just one of those things where it's like we respect each other's hard work and we're able to meld it together to create something even better. And just for them to, like, the promoter came back at the end, he was like, "Hey man, great fucking job." For them to come back and just to give us that, stamp of approval, and for them to have us want to come back, it felt really, really rewarding, and then for Holden to come down to another country at that and show up, man, it was just good, it was just really, it was a great day. I couldn't have planned that day any better, to be honest with you, what I'm saying? And to rely that back to you, I can just feel the happiness coming out. You know what I mean?
Bro, it was amazing because I remember you both separately messaged me. I can't remember exactly what you said, but I just remember Albright texted me with a picture of you two in the ring together, like during the match. Yep. And I think his text message said something to the effect of, he's just like, "Hey man, just wanted you to let you know that you're doing the right thing. You're doing all the right things down there. And we were told that we had like match of the night or something along those lines."
Right,
and he kind of just told me all the feedback that you guys had gotten. And I was just like, my boys, I'm just like, I'm like, this is amazing. Because again, like what a lot of people don't understand about what we do at our shows is like, it's not just matches and reps. It's understanding and learning how to work television, and it's learning how to work cameras, and it's learning how to work and I almost hate having to say this to people because it's, even when I say it, I feel like it just falls on deaf ears and people don't fully understand it. And I almost want to stop saying it, just because the thing is you guys catch on to how valuable these reps genuinely are. Like, I mean, that's why you guys stick out the way that you do whenever you guys do these like competitions, whether you get on TV, and like there's just that something different that's about you. And like with Alexia, whenever she does impact stuff, and like there's just always something different. And you just like, even when Crystal Moon did her match, you look back at it and you're just like, what is different about this? And you're just like, she's been doing this for a year. It's just, and that's what I told her before she went out. I was just like, listen, just remember, like, you're going to get nervous. I get it. Because it's a huge opportunity, and that is being filmed for whatever, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. All those nerves that I just put on you, forget about it. It's exactly what we do back home. See that camera right there? That's our hard cam. You see those two roamers? That's Covey's buddy, and that's Covey's buddy number 2. Like, and see all these people? It's just a couple more than what we're used to. That's it. A lot more than what we're used to, mind you. But
that's all.
Yeah, it put her mind at ease, and like it just helps you guys stand out. And that's why I was really proud, man. It's just because to have you guys be able to get that opportunity together was like the fucking coolest thing to me. And like, I just remember sitting like not too far from where I'm at right now in my apartment, and I was just like, I think I just sat there for like an hour with a smile on my face and did nothing. I think I even turned off the TV because I just didn't want to hear anything. I was just like, I'm proud of these guys. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like that. Thank you, bro. And you said it best. The art doesn't change, just a stage. That's all. The art doesn't change, just a stage. It just gets a little bigger.
That's it, man. That's it. All right, getting back into rapid fire questions. Who's your favorite band?
Favorite band, Gorillaz.
Nice.
Yeah, Gorillaz, Wu-Tang Clan, all around. I don't feel like they deserve a list. I think they deserve their own list. But yeah, Wu-Tang Clan, Gorillaz, right there.
Wu-Tang does deserve a pedestal. Like they're one of the few bands that you don't even have to. I get it. You don't have to necessarily name them, but you're just like, yeah, Wu-Tang. Who's your favorite sports team?
You already know, man. I'm Detroit fan to the day I die. So Honestly, as much as it pains me to say, I always love my Pistons. I always love my Detroit Red Wings, my Detroit, Lions, all that stuff. Just hard times, baby, hard times.
I
Hard
get
times.
it, man. I get
But
it.
auxiliary, I will say more so I am a Pittsburgh Steelers fan because I've always been a James Harrison fan. I was always like a big fan of Jerome Bettis growing up. Troy Polamalu, I was fortunate to meet. Just all those old school guys, me, Joe Green, all of them, man. Just
Troy Polamalu is one of my favorite stories I've ever heard. I don't know if you've ever heard the Pat McAfee, Troy
No.
Polamalu's. Okay, as soon as we're done, you need to go in YouTube, Pat McAfee, Troy Polamalu, and
Okay.
make sure you're near a washroom so you don't piss yourself, because it's the best story one of the greatest stories I've ever heard.
Okay, so I'll do that. I'll definitely do that.
Anybody listening needs to do the exact same thing, by the way.
Definitely.
Who's your favorite opponent so far?
Oh man,
Remember, no right or wrong answer, just the first one that pops into your head.
First one pops. Honestly, it's just Fulton. I think it was like Fulton was just my favorite opponent because I would say Fulton and also Congo Kong. And I'm gonna say because they both brought out a type of understanding of what it is to be a big man.
Mm-hmm.
in me. Like me and Fulton, like when me and Fulton went against each other, it was just like oh, okay, I guess we're working with each other. Hey, I remember you. Like that was right before he signed with Impact. I was like, I remember you. I was like, oh shit, I'm working with you. All right, great. And we just had a great understanding of each other. And with him being another shooter, we just kind of had that aggressive style I really love. I wish we could run that back. I hope we can run that back soon.
Is there footage of that? Because I would love to see it. Because you're two of my favorite human beings in the world, so I'd love to be able to watch that.
I think I have on my YouTube. Yeah, I believe I have on ICW, man.
Send me the link afterwards, because I'm going to put it in the description below, so that way people can check that out. Because if anybody who knows me obviously knows that Fulton's like one of my best and closest buddies. He has been over the last year. So anything I can do to get eyeballs on that big brother, I'm going to do. So and yourself as well.
Quick thing about Big Brother Fulton, by the way. He's the one that actually suggested I carry the gourd. He gave me the gourd idea, that wooden gourd I carry around that I actually left at Crossbody. But he gave me the idea because I was walking around with like a bottle of lemonade. He's like, "Why don't you put that in the fucking gourd?" I'm like, "You're right." So I pretty much bought like a drunken master gourd, and he was like, "See, I told you, it looks way better." I was like, "Yeah, you're right."
That's amazing. I know that he helps a lot of people with that kind of stuff. He actually helped Benjamin Boone out with his gimmick as well, and helped them out with gear and stuff too.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, he's such a good creative mind. It's like it's not even like huge things. It'll be like little trinkets that he'll add. Like it makes a huge difference. So
he's got such a great mind for the business. Like him and I talk usually at least once a week, and we just kind of pick each other's brains, just because we both respect each other's mind for the business. So like we constantly fire ideas back off of one another. I love that guy so goddamn much. He's a gem, and I can't wait for the world to see how talented he really is.
Oh man, likewise.
What's the biggest goal that you've set for yourself that you've actually accomplished?
Talking about wrestling wise or life wise?
Whatever you want, whatever comes to your brain first, man.
Graduating college for sure, because I was something that wasn't like necessarily I was the first one to actually just go through and just complete it. And my family, and also just the area where I was coming from wasn't really predicted from a lot of us, especially coming out of like East Detroit, and it being you're an 18-year-old kid, then not really a high statistic. But fortunately I was able to have again, fortunate enough to have parents, and I feel mentors that kind of taught me the game of life, if you will, to kind of get through a lot of the BS and to get through college. And then, I would say wrestling for sure, but just like getting through college was a big thing for me. And so second would be getting signed, just because like my family did be like, they would say things like, "Man, you did all this on your own," like just, when Impact happened, my mom, she's a highly recommended nurse like throughout the the Michigan area, and also she's been all around and traveling nurse and all that stuff. Herself, she's like, I'm so proud because you needed help with school. You need help from us to get through school and all that stuff. And you need help from us to get through all that things. But wrestling was all you. Everything was your effort. So in a sense, wrestling, but school first for sure.
Dude, I completely get that. And I want to say how much I respect that as well, just because, not many people may know this, but, I've been on my own since I was 16 and, I'm not going to get into the reason why, but like, I never got the chance to finish high school. So be proud of the fact that you, that not only did you get through that, but like you graduated dude, that's fucking huge for anybody. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't get that opportunity, and you created that opportunity for yourself, and you got through it. And not only did you do that by yourself, because again, like, having the help of your parents obviously is, and the, that's huge, but you're the one that has to be there. You're the one that's got to put the work in. You're the one that's got to read the books. You're the one that's got to remember this shit. You're the one that has to do the test. So you're the one that put the work in. So that's huge. And again, on your own, you put in the hard work, and you managed to get yourself a contract doing the one thing that we all love doing. Like, you've accomplished all the goals that, like, dude, I've never been signed before, and you've done that. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be absolutely proud of yourself, dude. I'm learning a lot about you today, and I'm gained a lot of respect for you over this last hour and a half so far. And,
I know we're about to cut it. I know we're about to cut it real quick, but I don't want to say like that I'm not without my supporters for sure. Like, I'm not without the people who back me up. Like, dude.
Oh,
like,
I still got questions, by the way.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is like during like almost quick thing during the whole gut check thing, man. Like, I've had days where I was broke. I was like, I don't know if I could do this shit, because like we literally Thanksgiving. I was with my family for like a half an hour, and I had to go train for like 2 or 3 hours in Canada, and just a lot of that time was kind of taken away. And I have friends, family was able to kind of keep me going. So I'm not without the supporters for sure. So
hey, it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a kid, is what they say, right?
Yeah. So I appreciate you guys a lot, but sorry, go ahead.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. So what's the next goal on your list that you're going to accomplish?
I want to be Impact World Champion for sure. Like, Impact World Champion, like, for a fact. Like, that's like, either it be exhibition, tag team, whatever, but World Champion is a goal of mine. Now that I got that door, but in the meantime, I really want the world just to I really want the world just to know Shogun. So whether it be through various marketing or just through like just wrestling or whatever, I just want, in terms of wrestling goals, I just want the world just to know who Shogun is and understand Shogun. But in terms of life, man, like, I would say for me, I just want to be able to, honestly, right now with the States, I want to be able to find a way to help out the States. I just don't know, like, other than protesting and other than calling my representatives, man, I don't really know how. But like, right now, the States are kind of in a very weird place of people are starting to recognize their history more, and they're starting to understand their country's history more.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes with a lot of responsibility of like talking to people constantly. And, for me, I'm down with that. I just want to be able to find a way how.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that, man. Who are the first? Okay. So who are the first 5 names that come to your head? And you don't have to, just the first couple names we'll just go with, that people need to know about, like, not necessarily on TV, but like, if you're just like, hey, if whoever's watching this, or like, I'm in the mood to go and just find some random names, I just want to see some new young, fresh faces, who should they go look up?
Oh man. Of course, we already mentioned Holden Albright. I said like Blake for sure, Jamal for sure. Gotta mention my boys.
Same.
Big fan of Calvin Tankman. If you guys don't know who Calvin Tankman is, shouts out to him. He actually just got signed to MLW. One of my homies, we were actually tag champs. No, not tag champs. We were about to be tag champs in Indiana at one point, but due to booking decisions, stuff like that, we had to go elsewhere. But shouts out to Calvin, and also I would say, Jocelyn Navarro. She's a female wrestler down in the States. She probably I think she performed in Canada a couple times actually. Yeah, but she'll be up soon. To Crossbody. Also, you got Alexis Nicole, and also our girl Lacey. Shouts out, and also Kyle. But yeah, man, I'm gonna say everybody. If you want to be real, I'm gonna say like a lot of names, like, because there's a lot of people out there to me that are getting overlooked. You got Jack Price, the Black Diamond, that's down in Michigan. You also got Dre Jacobs, I think he's another guy. You got Tony Deppen. I love his energy. How you say Deppen? I love his energy.
I think so. It's Deppen with 2 P's.
Yeah, man. And God, it's like it's so many people. God,
Yeah, wrestling's in a good place right now, man. Like we've got a lot of good young up and comers to watch. That's why it's
Lee Moriarty. That's another person. Lee Moriarty. If you guys get a chance, check out Apex Lee Moriarty. He is the man. Talk about grapplers. If you really enjoy grappling based wrestling, Demon Linko-esque type, Lucha-esque type, check out Lee Moriarty. In my opinion, top five indie wrestlers in the world.
I'll check him out. You know what? I've seen him on Twitter. I don't think I've actually seen him wrestle before. So I'll toss the old IWTV on once I get home from my Moonshine Distillery tour that I'm going on later today. What a fucking weird thing to say. Now, I'm not going to ask the next question because we kind of already talked about what your proudest moment outside the ring is. So I guess the last question I have for the rapid fire portion is, what's the best piece of advice that you can give to somebody who wants to do what you do?
Just two things. Be 100% willing to accept criticism and be open to understanding, but also, just be open to criticism, but also understand that not all criticism is helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But also engage in yourself, engage in who you want to be, like really creatively think about who you want to be. With Shogun, it's literally just it's who I vision myself as, but it's just pretty much my past life just kind of coming all together with what I feel now. And of course, all the things I love from anime, Afro Samurai, and hip hop, and of course, all the music I love as well. But I would say be ready for the criticism, and also really be engaged in what you want. So,
that's good advice. That's good advice. So the last question here that we always finish the podcast off with before we start putting over all of our social medias and where to find us all is, again, the reason why I've done this podcast is to try to get to know my buddies a little bit better. And since I've been doing all the question asking, I always want to ask if there's a question that you have for me.
Two questions. A, was this podcast something that you enjoyed and also learn more about me, and would you be willing to run it back? I guess that's like three questions in one.
Oh, and hell yeah, and hell yeah.
I appreciate that. And also, too, what's one of your proudest moments? I mean, I know we talked about me and Holden Albright being at AIW. That's a separate moment. But like in your own career of wrestling, whether it be wrestling or promoting, what's your favorite, proudest moment?
Man. There's a few that come to mind for completely different reasons. I think if we're talking about, like by far the coolest thing that I've ever done was I produced a live pay-per-view 45 minutes before it went on the air, and did so in a way where it was like I learned on the job, but what that did was it created relationships like that I will forever, like it created a bond and friendship with certain people that I'm pretty sure I'll have for the rest of my life, and these are friendships that, I will put before a lot of, like, friendship and loyalty is really, really important to me. But guys like Jeff Kavanaugh is a guy that, he's my brother, man. Like, I love that guy. And like, he's slept on my couch before, which is something that I don't really ever really offer up to too many people unless I consider you family, Harry D, the referee in Toronto, like me and him got real tight real quick there. Like we were always friendly, but like, again, like we were forced to have to know one another. Right. Chris Levin,
yes.
Again, like unbelievable how like, because if you go back and watch the episode Chris and I did, I didn't know that was his first ever main event on a pay-per-view. So like we both had to rely on one another that entire night because I wasn't getting any direction on how to do my job. I was like, the only direction that I got was from Keith Mitchell, who kind of gave me a 5-minute pep talk before we actually did it. So then that way we can kind of get on the same page. But that 5-minute pep talk literally took every single nerve that I had and just went, nice. Because anybody who doesn't know who Keith Mitchell is a fucking legend. He is the current, he works for AEW right now, but my God, like he is the dude. And like,
First
so
stories.
to have, yeah, and to have him in my ear and like kind of talking me through it, and then me kind of figuring out the job and having like the refs helping me do this, because again, like I knew that the refs weren't going to provide me bullshit answers, because I was like, wait, do I trust this? Are they setting me up to fail? And I'm like, no. These guys can't set me up to fail, because if they set me up to fail, they're setting themselves up to fail.
Yep, exactly.
This is a lifeline that there has to be 100% trust in. So I'm like, I'm just doing it. And it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me, because I learned so much. Like it opened my eyes up to a completely different world. And it allowed me to be able to bring that back home, and to be able to provide a much different and broader education to not only our students, but to guys like you and the young guys who take advantage of the showcase series and want to learn. And I guess that's really I guess that's the proudest thing from like because I did do other impact shows where, you know, I produced them, and, you know, I was really proud of those.
Right.
Just doing all of that was really cool. And just kind of getting to earn their trust like that was really cool. As far as in the ring goes, I don't know. I don't know if I've got that. I've always said that about myself. I've always been pretty realistic in the fact that like I've had some really fun matches before, but like I don't think I have that one thing that sticks out to me as like, hey, go watch this. This is a representation of my work. Like I've got some matches that I'm obviously proud of, but I'm still working on that. That's kind of what lit the fire under my ass for like this next year when we start going again. Cause it's just like, all right, like I know that I've just set limitations on myself, because I'm like, I guess I just always had an excuse to not be this and do this and try this and whatever. And, you know, I guess the biggest lesson that I've learned over the last 2 years from pro wrestling is that, you know, sometimes you got to just avoid that advice and avoid that structure, and you just got to do what you feel is right in your heart regardless, because at least if you don't at least try, then you're never going to know. And the one thing I do know is that it's always the most authentic things from people that get the most genuine reactions. So,
man, look, like I completely agree, and I think you like. I would love to have a match if we ever get a chance to throw down. I love that, and I think that'd be a lot of fun, and I think that'd be something that we can like that you'd be able to add to like your career. Even as like, hey, I'm happy about this one. Even if you aren't proud, like, hey, I'm happy that we at least threw down, because I think it would be a fun ass match for you. I think a lot of people would be into it. Well, yeah. But I know you gotta go, but there's like next time we meet, I do want to talk about like. I want to talk more about Brandon Tidwell, because I don't know all about him. I want to know more about, because we were supposed to have a match with the Dirty Wrestling Vets, and I was going to take that time to actually just like literally just talk to him, just like, yo, like what's going on, like just tell me about your life, because he reminds me a little bit like, you know, we got those guys in the business who I feel like are the undercover pillars of the business. Like they keep certain.
Wait, are you talking about Brandon Tidwell or the Notorious TID? Because
Notorious TID.
Okay.
TID.
Okay.
Yeah. But because because you know, there's like people who are like, I feel like underground pillars of this business that people don't really know about, because they helped out certain regions, but they helped out those regions that helped form other stars that came from those regions that helped produce bigger shows. I.e., my trainer, also my trainer Brandon Xavier, Truth Martini in House of Truth, all that stuff, you know. Also, you know, like I feel Johnny Bravo helped out a lot of people as well. Notorious TID is in that category. So for me, I always want to know like about, because he seems like such an interesting entity, such an interesting type of person. That's like, well, like we talked for a little bit. He was just telling me about like his history in the business. I'm like, man, like what all have you done? You've done a lot. Like you've done a lot, man. Like what's going on? And I just want to know more about him, honestly. So yeah, if you next time we talk, I'd like you to share some more some notorious stories for me. You can.
He's a gem, bro. Like I've got two best friends. He's one of them. Like Brady is my best buddy that I grew up with. I'm sure you remember Brady, the and Tid is like, Tid's my family, man. Like
Hell yeah.
we spend more time with one another than he probably does with his own wife.
Yeah.
Like we've got keys to each other's houses, for crying out loud, you know, like that's how close we are. And he's that guy. It's funny because we were just talking about this. Like he's that guy that you don't get scared of anymore, where you're kind of like, oh man, I don't want to piss Tid off because fuck, he's gonna beat me up. He's become more of that guy where you're just like, I don't want to disappoint him.
Yeah.
Because like it's almost like this weird like fatherly, grandfatherly, like, you know, where it's like you can afford to piss dad off, but granddad is just like, because if he gives you that look, it's like, oh, you know, you fucked up.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So Tid's one of the most fascinating human beings I've ever met in general, not just in the wrestling business. And his story, it's funny because I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to do a podcast with him, just because him and I know everything about one another. We've toyed with different ideas where we're gonna get drunk beforehand, or maybe just to kind of get through it or whatever. Like I don't know, but that's gonna be a fascinating one when we do it, because again, I know a whole different side to that guy than what everybody else knows. But as far as wrestling goes, he's a fucking pioneer, and way more people need to know about him. And you know, he's one of the biggest reasons why our students are as successful as they are. Like, you know, a lot of people don't understand that, like, because I think a lot of people still look at the school and think that, you know, Ben's the one that's training him, and I am, but like Tid is very much, you know, kind of the head coach. Like and respectfully and rightfully so, you know. He's still somebody that I look up to as my coach, because we all have to keep, you know, learning, and he's somebody that I still genuinely look up to this day as a human being and as a professional wrestler. So people need to understand like how good he really is, and how much of a gift to the business he really is. And I'm really looking forward to when things come back, because you guys, that match was supposed to happen where it was going to be you and Blake taking on the Dirty Vets, and there isn't a single team that hasn't worked with the Dirty Vets that hasn't come out better as men and as performers. And I think it's going to be a really cool experience for you and Blake, and I think it's going to be good for them too, because I know that they're big fans of your work, and they're fans of you guys as human beings, and that can only just mean a lot of fun and a lot of cool things, right? So
yeah, man, we shook hands, and like literally, like right when we went to the back, he looked at me. He was like, "We're gonna have a lot of fun." Like, yeah, we are. Like, you know,
absolutely, dude, absolutely. Now, that is going to wrap it up for this week's episode of the Big Ben and Friends podcast. We're going to let you know that you can find the show on Twitter and Instagram at Big Ben AF Podcast, as well as on Facebook under the name Big Ben and Friends Podcast. You can find us on YouTube by searching the show name, because we're still just a little bit short on the subscribers to have an actual channel name, but we're getting close. So if you're seeing this, please go hit that subscribe button, because we got to get to 100s. And I think we're like 75 or something like that. So we're so close. Just help a brother out. Yeah. You can find the audio version of this show on Anchor, which distributes the show to Spotify and iTunes for me. So you can search those on those platforms, basically wherever you find your podcasts. You can find me personally on all of my social medias at Big Ben is Angry. You can find CBPW and Crossbody Pro Wrestling Academy socials all in one place together at CBPW Academy. You can also subscribe to the CBPW YouTube page, where you can find every single showcase series show that we've done, along with the first 2.5 years, I want to say, of all of the Crossbody Pro Wrestling shows that we've done. Some incredible matches on there at youtube.com/Crossbody Pro Wrestling Academy. You can also find us on independentwrestling.tv. You can use the code crossbody to get 5 free days, and you can actually go back and watch our February show where my man here won the tag team titles to a raucous ovation. Spoiler alert, but go back and watch it because it was incredible. And last but not least, you can support CBPW and all of our amazing wrestlers, including Shogun and Blake 182, and our very hardworking staff by heading over to prowrestlingtees.com/crossbodyprowrestling, where all of the proceeds of the shirt sales get split between the wrestler and, again, our very hardworking production staff. The company actually takes zero.
Look at this, please, y'all.
And again, to finish that off, the Black Lives Matter shirts are remaining up on that website as well. And 100% of the proceeds from those shirts are all going to blacklivesmatter.ca. So where can we find you on social medias, Mr. Shogun?
Hold this up real quick for y'all to see. I got my vacation shirt under here. Hold this up for y'all. Please, y'all check out this shirt. But y'all can check out the Suplex, ladies and gentlemen, the Suplex Shogun right here. I'm in my vacation shirt. Don't worry, I'm about to handle some business.
You look good.
Thank you, man. You can check out the Suplex Shogun, Jackson Stone, on Instagram at Jackson_Stone313. You can check me out on Twitter, Jackson_Stone31. Find me on Facebook. Type in Jackson Stone. It's my athletic page. You can also check me out on YouTube. There's a lot of suplexing clips, a lot of promos on there. You can find your way and enjoy. Also, you'll be able to find a link down for this page for the match of me and Madman Fulton.
Awesome. Shogun, thank you so much for coming and doing this episode, man. I'm really glad that we got to have this chat. This was really cool learning more about you. I genuinely can't wait to do this again. I can't wait till the world goes back to normal so I can give you a big fucking hug. Everybody, go support this man. I can't recommend him enough. And again, that wraps up this episode of the Big Ben and Friends podcast. And we will see you all soon for big episode 10. Love you, brother.
What's up? Love you, man. Appreciate you.